It is time to go behind blue eyes. Stephen Roach, it's exciting. We are just days away, really.
Can't wait. I bet you there will be a few nervous debutants in both sides, mainly the Queensland side, but New South Wales, I reckon Freddie will have him primed. Did you see him doing paintings the other day? I think he's a genius, isn't he, Fred?
Oh, he doesn't want them to play their Origin match too early, does he? He always got them doing something like that, or yoga, or Pilates, or take your shoes off and walk on bare feet. Look, Adelaide. Look, I've spent plenty of time covering big time sport in Adelaide and at the Adelaide Oval. It's a historic place, and those going to Origin for the first time, they don't really understand what they're going to get, do they?
Yeah, it's beautiful down there. There's no doubt about that. The City of Churches, beautiful place. I think it's a little bit unfortunate, and I know why they're doing it because of the COVID and all that. I think they're just flying in and flying out, so it sort of robs the place of getting to see the boys around the street for a week and all that sort of stuff. But it is what it is, and I bet you they can't wait for Origin, mate. They're going to see. I think this series, because of everything that's happened, is going to be a bolter. It's going to be something a lot different to what we're usually used to, because they're going to go back to back to back. And I reckon we're going to use a fair few players too. So it'll be interesting with the team that Freddie comes up with. But I don't know whether that'll be the team Wednesday week because of injury and because of maybe the standing in the game of each player.
All right, I'm going to go through your team very soon. But let's look at the grand final. What did you think?
Look, I thought that the Panthers looked a little bit shell-shocked, but now, I'm not going to call it luck because Melbourne do it every week in and week out. The try 4 seconds before half-time by Cameron Smith, no other bloke in the world ever to play rugby league scores that. It bounces down, bounces off his leg, he picks it up and scores. He knew straight away that he scored. What a time to score right on that stroke of half-time. And, look, albeit they came back beautifully in the second half, but I just think they always had their measure, the Melbourne Storm. They're so clinical. 22 points to 0, at half-time, and I'm thinking, wow, this could really blow out. But the possession turned around. Penrith got a bit of ball. They scored a few tries, but I always just felt that Melbourne would win whatever happened.
I know it's always a little bit of a knife in the side, isn't it, being a West Tigers man? But you look at Ryan Pappenhausen, and he was let go by your mighty football club, and he's just playing out of his skin. Clive Churchill medal. Yeah,
unbelievable, and deservingly so too. Look, I don't think I've ever seen a little bloke like that can run the football back, the cops of punishment that he does. He's as tough as nails. There's no doubt about that. And, the yardage that he made, I think he ran for 270 metres or something like that. It was sensational. And, when I looked at Vunivalu with the intercept, the 80-metre intercept, and then Pappenhausen's try, they had a couple of blokes who could go the full length of the field. I don't think Penrith have got some great players, don't get me wrong, and they're great workers and they're great at the back of the field, but I just don't think in broken field, and we said it the week before, if the Melbourne Storm get a chance, it generally turns into 6 points because of their speed. And, and you throw in Ed O'Carr there too. So, I wasn't surprised. But I really enjoyed the game. There's a lot of people bagging it. I thought it was great. I always love to see, a team go out, but also my best part about it is watching the comeback. And, had the game gone for another 4 or 5 minutes, Penrith might have won.
Oh, look, I was out there and I thought it was fantastic at ANZ Stadium. And, look, it was wet weather football, but you didn't really know it because they got it, they pinged it. You knew it when Kickow had the ball. I don't think I've ever seen him play so poorly.
Yeah, I felt sorry for him, really. I think he had that week off and, come back. And I think he tried too hard. If you can try too hard in a game of footy, like, pardon me, it looked like he was trying to do everything. You can see how damaging he is. But do you know what? The Melbourne Storm's game plan, they stopped their back three. Mate, none of them run for 100 metres. Those guys have been running for 170, 180 metres every week. So their game plan was that, and it also was to put pressure on Kickow, and they did it so well. They put pressure on him. He made a few mistakes. The pass off the ground, it just everything he did, it just didn't help. But he still had a big impact on the grand final. I thought he made some great runs in that game. It just had to cut out the errors, and that was their biggest problem.
You always mention the strangulation, the boa constrictor type effect that Melbourne have. And watching that game, although I got close towards the end, I never, ever thought that Melbourne were going to lose it because Cameron Smith, watching the way he operates in the background.
Yeah, he's mate, if he's not the best player ever, he's bloody up there with him. Don't worry about that. Like, and even watching him interviewed after the game, we said this a million times. The bloke looks like he hasn't got a mark on him, hasn't got a bead of sweat coming off him, but just controls the game, just does it so well. And Timmy, a lot of people wouldn't know. So I've never seen a bloke that can put the ball out in front of you as consistently as what he does. You watch half breaks and that, and you see teams pass the ball and someone has to sort of turn around to try and catch it and all that sort of stuff. That's never the case with Cameron Smith. He's a perfectionist with his passing, and he's deserve it.
And one thing that's not mentioned often, and I want to mention it here, and then we'll get on to Nathan Cleary because I want to talk to you about him, but it's Cameron Smith's defence. I thought I want to have a look at this because I was watching it with Joey, my son, who is a tragic football player, and he goes, Cameron Smith, he's a great defender. Yeah. And he's just got this sense of timing, doesn't he?
Do you know there was a story that they were teaching some kids one day about how to tackle and all that, and they got this jiu-jitsu expert in. Anyway, they were showing the kids and they were showing the film of the Melbourne Storm and Cameron Smith's tackling technique and all that sort of stuff. He takes place to the ground so easily. He doesn't look that strong, but it's all technique. Anyway, apparently the jiu-jitsu bloke said, who's that bloke there? They said, that's Cameron Smith, the captain of Melbourne, blah, blah, blah. He's a black belt, he said. He's a black belt. I thought that was amazing, To think that that a guy who's an expert in that field can look at a film and go, mate, that bloke, he knows what he's doing.
Oh, and no one gets past him. It's quite extraordinary. It's something, and I suppose people will talk a lot more about the individual elements of his game going forward.
The other thing too, Tim, is a lot. When we talk about the greatest and all that sort of stuff, and it's always a great discussion, different eras and all that sort of stuff. What you got to remember about Cameron Smith, number one, is he plays in the middle of the field. And he's got 120 kilos blokes coming at him week in, week out, year in, year out, right? And the way that he handles, very rarely misses a game, right? And his defence, as we just mentioned, is just so good. And the other thing I mentioned, his passing game and all that sort of stuff. So, you think about the injuries that he's had, not many, and he's played in that position for a long, long time. And I know what it's like in the middle, mate. And it ain't a Sunday holiday camp in there. And he's done it for so long, so consistent, and been nearly the best player every week.
It's phenomenal and beautifully said by you. And you know what the best thing is? Because we are behind Blue Eyes. This is a New South Wales podcast. He's not going to be in Queensland. Oh, no. But he's not playing for Queensland, Stephen, which is great.
They've fallen me into the trap. I start talking about Queensland.
But he's not going to be there.
Thank goodness.
All right, now Nathan Cleary. Look, as soon as I sort of looked at that game and the way that they lost and he came out and said, I haven't played that badly forever, I just thought immediately, this guy's going to come out and almost be man of the match in that first state of origin. I know that's crystal balling a bit, but it's typical of the way sport moves. It's like any hesitation on him, he'll come back roaring, won't he? Close
to the best player in the competition this year. I know Jack White won the Daily M, but if you have a look at it and you break it right down, Cleary has been unbelievable. This is a learning curve for him, mate. It's a little hump on the road. Rugby league players, and especially ones like that who are so intense like Cleary, he won't be able to wait to get back on the horse. All these, gibberers are saying, oh, mate, you should give him a rest, he's mentally tired and all that sort of stuff. Footy players don't want that, mate. They want to get back out on the horse. And I'm with you, mate. He could steer New South Wales to a series win. And if he does that, it'll ease a little bit of the pain of the grand final.
That is the hardest thing about a grand final, though, isn't it? If you play in a competition where there is a grand final, and look, you played in one in 89, we're not going to go there, but no one, unless it is a historic grand final, no one really remembers who came second.
No, they don't. They don't, mate, and you're 100% right. I'd be still partying if we'd have won in 89.
Oh, absolutely.
How long ago was that? 30-something years ago.
Neither of us had grey hair, I know that much. All right, let's have a look at your team because, look, we have an embarrassment of riches. We've got a really strong squad of 27, which will be whittled down to 21, then obviously to 17. There's a couple of injuries there.
Yeah, I've got to say, Timmy, this is my team, so I'm not 100% sure whether Freddie will go with the same team or the boys in the selection crew with Brandy and all those sort of guys. So this is who I'd pick anyway. Tedesco is under an injury cloud. They reckon he's 50-50. Now, if Tedesco doesn't play, I'd put Pappenhausen in there at fullback. Fresh off the grand final Clive Churchill medal. I know people will say, but they've been partying for a few days and all that sort of stuff. I don't think he's the type of bloke that does that sort of stuff. I think he would have had a good time and all that, but I don't think he would have went over the board. So knowing that he might get his opportunity, and I reckon Freddie would have rang him and said, mate, listen, I know you've won the grand final. Congratulations. But if Tedesco is injured, you're in. So he might have just put a bit of heat on him like that.
Do you run him off the bench if he doesn't play fullback?
Probably not in Origin, mate, in my opinion. Probably not in Origin, but I'll get to that and tell you why. You know how I love big boppers, mate, so I like the big side. So, mate, I'd go for Tupou and Addo-Carr on the wings. Beautiful speed. Tupou's a great player in the air. I'll go for Whiten in the centres. I would love to play him at 5'8" because I love big 5'8s, but I'm going to leave him in the centres. I'm going to put Stephen Crichton as the other centre. I know all the argument, is about Gutherson coming into the centres and all that, but I'm a bit of a like for like. He's just come off the grand final, albeit I'll say it again, they got beat. But Crichton to me is an Origin player. I think if he starts, I reckon he's going to be in the Origin side for a long, long time. So Whiten and Crichton are my centres. Keary and Cleary are my halves.
There's a little bit of poetry there.
Kieran Cleary, yeah.
God, and Whiten and Crichton.
Yeah, you know what it is. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Mate, Jakey Tavojevic at lock, I mean, he, with his ball-playing skills, he troubles the Queenslanders because he holds the ball out in front. And, mate, I reckon in this company, although, a lot of people would say that, he didn't have a great season this year, but I'll tell you what, he's in my side. He rolls his sleeves up and has a go every week. Frizzell and Cordner, of course. Cordner's my captain. I'll have Haas in the front row, Cook, and also Sire Feety. Now, this is the all-important part, and I reckon this is where we probably have the edge over Queensland, in my opinion. People might raise their eyebrows when I say this about who my bench is going to be. So my bench is going to be Isaiah Yeo. I thought close to the best forward in the competition this year. I thought he was absolutely unbelievable for the Penrith Panthers. Of course, Cam Murray. Future captain of New South Wales. Unlucky not to make the starting sides, only because Tommy Tavojevic has been there, done that before with that ball-playing skills and adds a little bit more with the ball than what Murray does. So Murray's on the bench. Gutherson can cover fullback, wing, centre. I reckon you could play Gutho on the front row, he wouldn't mind. He's a wonderful competitor, no doubt about that. And my other one is the big bopper, Junior Paulo. Just for that X factor off the bench, if you can bring him off and, Queensland are looking a little bit tired and he gets those offloads away, mate, there's points on the back of that.
How do things change with our opposition with Wayne Bennett and Mal Meninga there?
Oh, I think I said it last week. It's a bit of a mental thing. They're trying to get in the heads of all the New South Welshmen, the first thing we've got to remember, this is a state of origin. I've never seen a non-competitive state of origin game. Right, so we know Queensland, they're going to come out, and there's no doubt about that. They're just trying to add that little bit of extra edge with, Wayne Bennett, and then they bring Mal Meninga in. So you can imagine the buzz around the joint when you've got, those two super coaches, really. If you look at Mal's record in Queensland when they went on that run, I know he had the players and all that sort of stuff, but still, you still got to do the job. And Wayne Bennett, mate, I would have loved to play under Wayne Bennett. He's that type of bloke that inspires people. So, mate, it's not going to be all. And mate, all these people saying, New South Wales might, be a little bit ahead of themselves and all that sort of stuff. Freddie understands Origin as good as Mal and Wayne Bennett, so he'll be looking forward to the challenge. He's got a good gang around him, and mate, don't worry, they'll be ready.
And they'll get a nice injection of energy, won't they? I suppose both squads will, but New South Wales with Pappenhausen and Addo-Carr and Finucane. Finucane's in the squad too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Coming into this larger squad.
How didn't I fit him on my bench, mate? That's the riches that we've got at the moment, isn't it, Timmy? Finucane, you talk to Craig Bellamy, he's the first bloke he picks every week, because of his tenacity and how tough he is. But, when you look at it, I don't know. He just misses out, mate. All right, we'll put him at 8th man. How's that? You have him somewhere.
Yeah. Well, this is your team, so we'll have to wait and see exactly. But I think it's going to be pretty close to the mark. But it's just great to have Origin. It's a nice feel. I think it's only going to happen this year. But for rugby league tragics, you played it. I didn't, but I still love it. When the season ends, it's a bit like, oh, really? What are we going to do next weekend?
Do I did a radio interview yesterday with the Melbourne people from SEN, and mate, it astounds me how much they love it too. The Melbourne people love the state of origin. So, all the AFL people and all that who've got a great game in their own right, they love the origin too. So, even getting interest from, states that don't even compete in the state of origin. I know I've had games down there, but this year when we go to Adelaide and Sydney and Brisbane, so even the interest is still there from those sort of people. So it's great for the game.
And the whole idea of Freddie, he'll be so much better, won't we, a couple of years on as a coach? Not that he needed to improve too much. He's gone back to back.
He's one of those. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that a lot of people would call tinny and that, but he's so affable, and people love him. I mean, look, I don't reckon I've ever met anyone that doesn't like Brad Fittler. And when you're around the camp and you're around all that, you can feel. You can feel the. I don't know what it's hard to explain. He's got this energy about him, mate. The same as probably Wayne Bennett and Malcolm Ingram and all those sort of guys. But Freddie has got that energy about him. He's a bit loony and a bit out there and all that sort of stuff. But I reckon that's good. People see a different side of the game and how he explains the game and how they'll go into the game. And I reckon they'll be primed.
You and I can relate to him. We've both got a bit of that going on.
Mate, I've got a boardroom in my melon.
Me too, I'll tell you what. There's only two of us at this table, but it feels like there's 28. It's like watching Sybil. But okay, how does the series go? Is it 3-0 New South Wales?
I wouldn't go that far, mate. The all important game obviously is the first one, but New South Wales, if they win the first one, can wrap it up in game 2. But I couldn't predict 3-0. I can't. I just know what Queensland are like. Somehow they'll be playing it down. I heard Fatty Vorton interviewed on the radio yesterday. I was listening to that. No, mate, we can't possibly win and all that sort of stuff. Mate, he won the unwinnable series, so that's how they like it. They like the underdog. I don't think our blokes will buy too much into it. But mate, I'll tell you the honest truth. I would be surprised if it was 3-0.
Just great to be.
I want it to be 3-0.
But we might be going down to a decider, and that's going to be interesting.
That's what people love, mate. I'd love it to be 1-1 going into the third one, but not. No, I won't, because we're playing in Queensland. I want to win 2-0 to start off, and then who cares?
Yeah, that would be nice, actually, and then the parade up there. Well, Stephen, we have gone successfully behind blue eyes. Origin has arrived, and it's on our doorstep.
Can't wait, mate. Hope everyone enjoys it.